I've spent a lot of time lately thinking about the word luxury. When I was 40, luxury was a German car with leather seats and a gold watch that made me feel like a king every time I checked the hour. When I was 60, luxury changed. It became the ability to say no to a meeting and yes to a nap. But now, at 88, now that I can see the finish line from my bedroom window, I realize that everything I once called luxury was just a shiny distraction. We live in a world that is moving so fast, it's a blur. And we've been tricked into thinking that wealth is something you can count. But let me tell you what I see from the end of the trail. You can have $1 billion in the bank and still be the poorest person in the room. You can have all the time in the world and still be a ghost. The real luxuries, the ones that actually matter when the lights start to dim, don't have price tags. But they have a cost. And usually, that cost is your attention. I remember sitting in a small bistro a few years ago. I saw a young couple at the table next to mine. They were beautiful. They were eating food that cost more than my first car. But they weren't there. They spent 20 minutes arranging their plates for a photograph, and another 20 minutes responding to comments from people who weren't even in the building. They had the money for the meal, and they had the time for the date. But they were bankrupt. They were absent. I see fathers at the park who are so busy capturing the moment on a screen that they miss the actual moment. Their child looks up, searching for a father's eyes, and finds only the back of a plastic case. That child is being raised by a ghost. That is the first and greatest luxury. Presence. Being exactly where your feet are. It sounds simple, but in this digital age, it is the rarest thing on earth. If you can't look at a sunset or your wife's face without needing to show it to a stranger, you aren't living. You're just marketing a life you aren't actually experiencing. For 50 years, I lived in the future. I was always chasing the next thing. I thought happiness was a destination I'd reach if I just ran fast enough. I created a life of constant anxiety and called it ambition. It worked for a while. I hit my goals. I climbed the ladders. But then my body gave out. My mind broke under the weight of 1,000 tomorrows. That was when I realized that time is a leak in a bucket that you can't patch. Every minute you spend worrying about a future that might never happen is a minute you've thrown into the furnace. Real luxury is the awareness of the now. It's the ability to breathe and realize that this very second, is the only part of your life that actually exists. Then there is health. You've heard it before, I know. But listen to me. I'm 88. My joints feel like they're filled with broken glass. I would trade every luxury I've ever owned just to have the back and the knees of a 25-year-old for one afternoon. Health is a crown that only the sick man can see. When you have it, you treat it like a rental car. You drive it into the ground. You fill it with junk. You don't sleep. But once that machine breaks, the horizon closes in on you. You realize that all the money you earned won't buy back your vitality. Real luxury isn't the ability to buy expensive medicine. It's the strength to walk up a hill and feel the wind in your lungs. It's a foundational wealth that you must protect like a treasure, because once it's gone forever. And let's talk about financial security. Most of you think this means having a huge number in a computer. It doesn't. I've known men with millions who lived in a state of constant panic, terrified of losing a fraction of it. That isn't security. That's a gilded cage. Real financial luxury is simply having enough for your own needs. It's the ability to pay your bills without your heart racing. It's the freedom to handle a flat tire or a broken heater without feeling like your world is ending. It's a ceiling, not a floor. When you stop obsessing over more and start appreciating enough, you gain a peace that no billionaire can buy. Money should be a tool that serves you, not a master that owns your sleep. Speaking of sleep, have you noticed how we've turned exhaustion into a badge of honor? We brag about how little we sleep, as if being a tired, irritable wreck makes us more valuable. What a tragedy. Quality sleep is one of the most neglected luxuries of the modern age. It is the holy reset. It is the time when your soul repairs the damage of the day. When you are sleep deprived, your thoughts are foggy, your temper is short, and your life feels like a heavy weight you have to drag behind you. Protecting your rest is an act of self-respect. A man who sleeps well is a man who can face the world with a clear eye and a steady hand. And then there is the mind. A peaceful mind is a fortress. We live in a world that is designed to keep us distracted, angry, and anxious. Every app, every news cycle, every advertisement is a thief trying to steal your mental peace. Real luxury is the discipline to shut the noise out. It's the ability to sit in a quiet room alone and not feel like you're going out of your mind. It's the strength to control your thoughts instead of letting them control you. If you can't find peace inside your own head, it doesn't matter where you travel or how much you buy. You will always be a prisoner. People ask me, Silas, what keeps you going? The answer is purpose. And I don't mean changing the world or leaving a mark in the way the history books describe it. I mean the reason you get out of bed. For some, it's a garden. For others, it's a grandchild, or a book they're writing, or just the simple act of being a kind neighbor. Without a why, life becomes a mechanical process of waiting for the end. Purpose is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. It gives your time a shape. It makes the hard days bearable. A person with a small, clear purpose is far wealthier than a person with a massive, empty life. And don't forget the earth. I look at your generation, and I see people who are completely disconnected from the dirt and the sky. You live in concrete boxes, under artificial lights, staring at glass screens. You've forgotten that you are part of the world, not just a visitor to it. Nature is a silent healer. Just 10 minutes of feeling the sun on your face or the wind in the trees can lower your blood pressure and settle your spirit. It's free. It's everywhere. And yet we treat it like it's optional. Real luxury is the connection to the rhythm of the seasons. It's the realization that you are a small part of a very large, very beautiful story. Finally, there are the people. Not followers, not contacts, not network connections. I mean real, soul-deep relationships. The kind of people who know your flaws and love you anyway. The kind of people who would show up at your house at 3 a.m. with a shovel or a shoulder to cry on. These people are mirrors. They show you who you really are. They challenge your ego. They reflect your potential. In this digital age, we have 1,000 friends, but nobody to hold our hand in the dark. We've traded quality for quantity, but at the end of your life, you won't be scrolling through your likes. You'll be looking for a hand to hold. You'll be looking for a voice that knows your name. These connections are built on trust and time, not on clicks. They are the only wealth that stays with you when everything else is stripped away. You see, some of these luxuries might require a little money, but none of them can truly be bought. They don't have price tags because their value is in the being, not the having. You can't buy a quiet mind. You can't buy a loyal friend. You can't buy the feeling of being truly present as your child takes their first steps. In the end, your life won't be measured by the things you owned. It will be measured by how deeply you lived, how well you loved, and how often you were actually there to see it. The clock is ticking for all of us. Don't wait until you're 88 to realize you've been chasing the wrong kind of gold. Stop running. Open your eyes. Breathe. You are richer than you think, if you only have the courage to notice. Go live, please, while there's still time.